Thank you so much for being here. I know it is hard to stop chit-chatting and catching up and talking about wonderful things, but we have even more wonderful things to talk about. My name is Jen Weed. I am the president of UD's Alumni Association, class of 95. I live in Chicago, Illinois, where we have a very robust alumni presence there. Come visit us anytime. And I work for the California Society of CPAs. So I spend a lot of time here in Dayton. I live in Chicago, but I go to California on a monthly basis. So sometimes I wonder where I am and what I'm doing. But in California, I am the vice president of learning. So I focus a lot of my time on helping California licensed CPAs keep their license current. So that's me in a nutshell. I wanted to take a minute to welcome our esteemed honorees, their family and friends, the Alumni Awards Committee that just does an incredible job year after year, my fellow Alumni Board of Directors, past Alumni Award recipients, and members of UD's leadership, including President Eric Spina, Provost and Executive Vice President of Academic Affairs Paul Benson, Vice President for Mission and Rector Father Jim Fitz, and the new Dean of the School of Engineering, Ghoul Kramer. We have a great, oh yeah, how about that? Thank you. Again, thank you for being here tonight. This, by far, is my favorite night of the year. It is an opportunity to reflect on the incredible things University of Dayton alumni do for their communities and for this institution. We have been recognizing exceptional work of UD alumni since 1967. And I'm happy to announce that this year, we added a new group of alumni to recognize, our new 10 under 10 honorees. Throughout the year, we shine a spotlight on 10 young alums who graduated less than 10 years ago, 10 under 10. This is a way of celebrating their accomplishments and what it means to them to embody, learn, lead, and serve. These graduates are truly making a difference in their communities. I have to tell a quick story. Anita, brothers over here, in the spring said, Jen, would you write notes to our 10 under 10? Sure, no problem. Send out notes to these young alums, congratulating them on their exceptional work. A few months go by, I'm at a Cubs game with another alum. I have on a UD gear, and I'm walking out of the Cubs game, and I hear someone say, go Flyers. I say, turn, are you a Flyer? No, but he is, and she points at this young man who is working the suites. We start chatting, and I said, gosh, your name is really familiar. And he got really quiet and a little bit sheepish, and he said, you might have seen my name in the recent UD magazine. I'm a 10 under 10 honoree. Like, I wrote you a note, but it was very cute. Our work and their work really does matter. But we have several 10 under 10 honorees joining us tonight. As I call your name, please stand and stay standing. Jill Bucaro, class of 2011. Stay standing. John Biershin, class of 2015. John, I worked out on pronouncing that last name too, so where's John? Tejal Cartwright, class of 2014. And Sarah Richard, class of 2019. Thank you. Congratulations on all of your accomplishments and representing UD so well. We appreciate you. Thank you. I can say without a doubt, there is no better testament to the value of a UD experience than in the stories of the people that we are recognizing tonight. As you will hear, those that learn, lead, and serve their communities have a foundation rooted in the Marianist charism. Some of you may be new to our UD community and hear Marianist charism, and that doesn't mean anything to you. For me, in its simplest terms, when I think about Marianist charism, it means that I live a life of faith, community, and mission. And this is absolutely embodied in the stories of the people that you're going to hear about tonight, but it's also embodied in our faculty, our staff, our current students, the Alumni Board of Directors that are here tonight, and everything that we do and try to do we try to have rooted in that Marianist charism, and especially when we try to pull you back and connect you to UD. So I invite you to stay connected. Stay connected to your Marianist charism and what that means to you. Go to events in your area. Give to the areas that you're most passionate about. Yesterday, we had the distinct pleasure and honor of having lunch with Flyer Promise students. If you don't know about the Flyer Promise program, please look it up now on your phones. I mean, it is incredible. These students are amazing, and I already know I will be shifting money over to the Flyer Promise program because they are incredible. Or share your expertise in any way that you want, but with alums, with students. Create internships, create jobs, hire flyers. Nominate a worthy alum for an award. That would be fantastic. Following dinner and the awards presentation, we're going to hear from our honorees in their own words, which is fantastic, and I'm excited for you to really get to know this year's outstanding recipients. Now, I would like to introduce President Eric Spina, UD's 19th president. Eric has focused his presidency on expanding affordability and access for talented students from all walks of life, deepening hands-on learning experiences for all students, and investing in great faculty and innovative programs. He really does resonate. He's like, are you gonna stop talking? He resonates with the Marianist educational tradition of preparing servant leaders. And that learn, lead, and serve is really, he walks the walk and talks the talk. So, Eric.
So Jen gave herself in a nutshell. What she didn't say is that she is an extraordinary servant leader for this university. Jen, thank you. Please join me in thanking Jen. I have lots of favorite things at the university. This is on the kind of the top 2 or 3 list. So I'm really thrilled to be here tonight to honor 5 outstanding alumni who inspire us to dream big and strive to make a difference in the world. So congratulations, John and Tracy and Lachey and Jim and Tom. You are so worthy of the accolades and all the incredible words you're going to hear about you tonight, right? So, I mean, I know enough about the award recipients to know that they are humble people, and they don't enjoy hearing good things about themselves. But as your president, I don't care. you're going to hear them anyway. So, I also offer a special flyer welcome to family, friends, and past recipients who are sharing in their joy this evening. And of course, I join Jen in congratulating the 10 under 10 honorees in the audience. These young, outstanding alumni, who actually I know all of them pretty well, have taken the UD motto, learn, lead, and serve, to heart. They're truly an inspiration and our future as a university in terms of our volunteer leadership. So really looking forward to them continuing to stay connected and help us continue to get better. Tonight's award recipients represent the best that UD offers to the world. You are the very definition of servant leaders, molded in the Marianist tradition. You've charted a selfless path of service to your communities, to your alma mater, and to the world. And by your very actions are encouraging generations of students to follow in your footsteps. That's really why we hold up alumni, for our students to see what is possible and to encourage and inspire them. We describe this pattern as a virtuous circle, but others often offer their own take. Molly McCready, for example, whose nonprofit provides scholarships to street children in Uganda, coined a catchy phrase a few years ago when she received her Alumni Award, and the words still ring true. Learn, lead, serve, repeat. Learn, lead, serve, repeat. The more time I spend with our Alumni Award recipients, the more I deeply admire the way you live out these words. You are people of both high competence, extremely high competence, and high character. You're the kind of leaders who don't just imagine a better world and what that could mean for others, but you go about the business of creating that world. To be able to celebrate your achievements tonight is truly a blessing, not just for me, but for all of us present and for the institution. A huge thanks to Jen Weed, as I said, President of the Alumni Association, and to the Alumni Awards Committee, most of whom are here, for shining the spotlight on you. I'm not going to go into detail on the award recipients. You'll hear more later, but I want to give you a glimpse into the lives of our honorees by using numbers. I'm going to start with the number 1. Lachey Smith Lofton holds the distinction of being the first recipient and graduate of the W.S. McIntosh Scholarship, a joint UD City of Dayton program now in its, if I say this number, people might know how old this is, 35th year of providing a worthy student each year with a full scholarship and a 4-year internship, like 20 hours a week during the academic year and more than 40 hours during the summer with the city. With a commitment to social justice and community leadership, Lachey blazed the path for generations of talented local Black students who aspire to civic leadership roles in our community. And now, as Deputy City Manager, she continues to be an exemplar and inspiration for today's students. Life has come full circle for Lachey as she now facilitates the internship program for the McIntosh Scholars. That's the virtuous circle. 20. In his dorm room, John Dakar developed a prototype of Obi, a revolutionary eating device to help individuals with upper extremity limitations gain independence. He revised the prototype again and again, and upon graduation, founded a company to develop the first robotic feeding device. His invention, which sprung out of a desire to help his grandfather and a young girl named Hope, is now available in 20 countries, hence 20. My personal end game, John says, is all about being useful to others. I want to do everything in my power to be a force for good within my family, my community, and to the extent possible, society at large. In a word, John's work is transformative. It is research for the common good. 36. Beyond Jim Stitt's extraordinary career achievements, strong work ethic, and commitment to community service, he and his wife Carol have an amazing track record of philanthropy. For 36 consecutive years, they have made gifts to the University of Dayton. They established the Alpha P and John F. Stitt Endowed Scholarship in honor of his parents, and the Stitt Scholars Program that provides paid internships to engineering and business students who work with entrepreneurs and startup companies at the Hub in the Dayton Arcade. That hands-on learning experience is a game changer for our students and our community, who will enter their professions with skills and creativity and collaboration and the confidence to imagine what might be. 8,500, although I think the number is supposed to be 9,000 after what I heard tonight. That's the number of new beds, cribs, and bedding that Tracy Irvine Janis has provided to needy Dayton area families through the nonprofit Secret Smiles that her late sister Christy founded. When Christy died in the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center, Tracy and fellow UD graduate Meredith O'Neill Hassett stepped up to continue Christy's legacy. Through their heartbreak, they turned their tears into smiles, and the organization Secret Smiles blossomed. Tracy is caring for our community's children and families, teaching us all what it means to be our brother and sister's keeper. And then for a big number, 1.3 million. Retired Lieutenant General Tom Siemens provided support to an astounding 1.3 million soldiers and civilians during his nearly 40 years in the U.S. Army in personnel policy and management position. He's a people person, a selfless leader, and a true patriot who served his nation honorably. Speaking of numbers, I love what he once told a reporter. He said, "I always tell my team that every time they see a number, it's not just a number. It's a person who has dreams, aspirations, and goals, and who came into the Army to make a difference." Tom is a difference maker. Congratulations and thank you to tonight's honorees. We are so proud of all that you've accomplished and the mark you've made and will continue to make on the world. Before I introduce Father Jim Fitz for the invocation, I'd like to remind us all that this past Sunday we commemorated 21 years since the 9/11 terrorist attack, which hit close to home for two of our recipients. Lieutenant General Seaman spent 10 years at the Pentagon, but he was thankfully out of the office that fateful morning. Later, the American flag draped over his window as a symbol of unity in our country. And as you're aware, as you just heard, Tracy lost her sister Christy in the World Trade Center attack. She found a measure of peace through service to others. We will always honor those we lost and the incredibly heroic first responders. So after I introduce Father Jim Fitz, please enjoy dinner and conversation at your tables. During dessert, we'll present the awards, and then Jen Weed will moderate a panel discussion with her honorees. Thank you very much, and I'd like to introduce Father Jim Fitz, our Vice President for Mission and Rector, and a dear friend to many in this room. Thank you. Father Jim?
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, as we begin our meal together this evening, we come together in a spirit of thankfulness and praise. We are especially thankful this evening for the contributions of our special guests, the 2022 Alumni Award winners. They all have had impact on the world in which we live. We give thanks to you, our God, for John Decker and his remarkable creation to assist thousands of people worldwide to eat with independence. For Tracy Irvin Janis, for impacting the lives of thousands of families by providing a warm, safe place for children to sleep. For C. Lachey Lofton, for her extensive and quality service to the city of Dayton. For James Stitt, for commitment to his community and to higher education. And for Thomas Siemens, for his 40 years of service in uniform and his continued work tapping into the potential of people. May the achievements of our special guest remind all of us gathered here of the important mission of this university and lead us as alumni and friends to help the university be strong in its commitment to educating the whole person and to linking learning and scholarship with leadership and service. Bless our time together this evening. Bless our food and our sharing at table of friendship. Bless our common commitment to this university. Gracious God, we raise our minds and hearts in prayer to you. We make this prayer through our brother Jesus and in the power of the Spirit, now and forever. Amen. Enjoy your meal.
We are going to get started with the awards portion of our evening. Please get your dessert, eat your dessert, and continue to enjoy. Before we get started, I do, please join me in thanking and giving a round of applause to our pianist, Keigo Hirakawa. In addition to his exceptional music talent, he also happens to be a professor of electrical and computing engineering here at UD. Thank you, Keigo. I believe that that's the new dean of engineering right over there. And now the reason we have all gathered this evening, the presentation of the awards. Each recipient will be introduced with a short video. We'll take a quick photo, and they will have a seat on stage. I'm going to have Eric come on up here and join me on stage. And then I'm going to step away from these lights. Where are the videos? Okay.
The 2022 University of Dayton Alumni Association Joe Bell Memorial Young Alumni Award goes to John Deckar, class of 2011. During his first year at the University of Dayton, John was inspired to create the high-tech feeding device, Obi. The machine helps those who can't feed themselves, no matter the reason, eat with dignity and independence. John had witnessed his grandfather's health decline, eventually to a point where he could no longer feed himself. Around the same time, he learned of a young girl born without arms who faced similar challenges. John knew he could help them and others. He began working on Obi prototypes in his dorm room and refined the design many times as he earned his engineering degree. After graduating, he founded his own company and based it in Dayton. He continued to test and refine Obi for another 6 years before launching the product in 2017, making it the first robotic feeding device to be available for everyday use. It's now covered by many insurance plans and available in more than 20 countries. Obi is also a fully covered benefit for veterans, making it available to America's heroes injured in battle. For helping millions feed themselves with dignity and making a difference worldwide, the Alumni Association is proud to present the 2022 Joe Bell Memorial Young Alumni Award to John Deckar.
The 2022 University of Dayton Alumni Association Special Achievement Award goes to C. Lachey Smith Lofton. Even before she graduated from the University of Dayton in 1991, Lachey was a trailblazer. In the early 90s, the W.S. Macintosh program was launched between the City of Dayton and the University of Dayton. It provides a promising African American student with a 4-year scholarship to UD and a 4-year paid internship with the city. Lachey was the very first recipient. She harnessed the opportunity and built a successful career in local government. She has served the City of Dayton for nearly 3 decades, currently as Deputy City Manager, a position she was appointed to in 2020. Lachey remains committed to paying it forward and continues to work with current UD students in the W.S. Macintosh program. She also supports current Black Flyers and alumni, along with UD's Multi-Ethnic Education and Engagement Center. She is also a current member of the Board of Trustees for the YWCA and previously served on the Board of Trustees for the nonprofit Citywide Development Corporation. For her dedication to local government and holding doors open for future leaders, we are pleased to honor Lachey Lofton with the 2022 Special Achievement Award.
This is heavy. Be careful here. Got it? Okay. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm going to step a little bit over here. Thank you.
The 2022 University of Dayton Alumni Association Special Service Award goes to James Stitt. Since graduating from UD in 1971, Jim has set an example of philanthropy and service for other alums. As a member of all of the university's giving societies, including the John Stewart and Front Porch Societies, Jim and his wife Carol have donated nearly $1 million to ensure UD remains accessible to deserving students. After graduating with a degree in engineering, Jim joined the family company, Cutco Cutlery Corporation. In 1998, when he took over as CEO from his father, he established the Alpha P and John F. Stitt Endowed Scholarship. Named in honor of his parents, the scholarship supports deserving full-time engineering technology students at UD. Jim went on to establish the Stitt Scholars Program, which funds collaboration efforts between UD students, startup companies, and entrepreneurs at the Hub, powered by PNC Bank. Jim was a member of the School of Engineering Advisory Council from 1994 until 2001, and kick-started a tradition in his family. One of his children graduated from UD in 1995, and his granddaughter is a current student. For his loyalty to the University of Dayton and dedication to keeping higher education accessible, we are proud to honor James Stitt with the 2022 Special Service Award.
Your school may live across the street from me my senior year. We can talk about that later. Picture.
The 2022 University of Dayton Alumni Association Christian Service Award goes to Tracy Irvine Janis, class of 1987. Tracy has dedicated years of service to providing children with warm, safe places to sleep through the organization Secret Smiles. The organization was started in New York City by her late sister Christy Irvine Ryan, class of 93, who was among those killed during the September 11th attacks. Secret Smiles identifies children in need, then provides them with bed frames, mattresses, and bedding. Established as a 100% volunteer charity, Tracy and other volunteers work to secure all the funding and donations needed to provide goods for every child it helps. Tracy brought the program to Dayton, where more than 10,000 children have already benefited from its mission, especially in the wake of the 2019 Dayton tornadoes and the 2020 pandemic. For her dedication to making sure children have a place of their own to dream, the UD Alumni Association is proud to present Tracy Irvine Janis with the 2022 Christian Service Award.
Tonight, we honor Lieutenant General Thomas Siemens with the University of Dayton Alumni Association's Distinguished Alumni Award. Tom joined ROTC as a student at UD. He graduated in 1981 and began a career in the Army as a human resources officer.
I was a business management major, and so I thought HR was a nice fit. I had a little unusual bent of it in that I spent most of my time in tactical units. So I was in the 25th Infantry Division in Hawaii for 2 tours, and then a number of tours at Fort Bragg, jumping out of planes. So a little unusual for an HR guy.
And Tom was uniquely credible because he had a foot in both worlds. People thought of him as a paratrooper and a hardcore soldier, but they also thought of him as a very competent HR manager. And those two beings in a single person is unique.
Tom Siemens is someone that everyone likes. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about him, and that's pretty incredible. And people want to be around him, and it makes you want to work harder and be better.
That guy accomplishes more than any 3 or 4 people I've ever met, and he does it without wasting a single effort on getting credit or accolades or anything.
I can say he's probably the best leader I know. People know Tom puts them first. And that's why they do what they do. And he does that whether you're a general, whether you're a congressperson, whether you're a corporate leader, or whether you're private. He puts people first.
As Tom advanced in his career, he served in many locations around the world, including 10 years at the Pentagon.
My office at the Pentagon was in the E-Ring, which is the outer ring, and it is a place where the plane hit the building on 9/11. I wasn't there that day, I was there the day prior. And then on 9/11, the flag draped right down to my office. And so throughout the day, you'd see the red, white, and blue of the flag and think, you know, this is why we do what we do. So, and I looked out over the memorial that's there. So if I ever got tired, if I ever got, had a bad day, I just look out the window and realize this is what it's all about. And this is why I have this opportunity, and I shouldn't squander a second of it.
Tom's final role in the military was Army G1, where he was responsible for personnel throughout the entire U.S. Army.
Tom was essentially the chief people officer for the United States Army. A 1.1 million person force, 300,000 civilians, and probably an annual operating budget of about $175 billion. 51% of that budget is people, because that's what the Army is.
People come in the Army with dreams, aspirations, and goals, and I saw myself as a facilitator to create the conditions for them to allow them to be successful.
He's definitely had a lasting impact on the Army. So he's testified on the Hill, testified with different staffers on what the Army is doing, in particular about how we man the Army, how we recruit, and really how we treat people.
In a big sense, Tom had an extraordinary impact on the Army because he inputted programs and initiatives that changed the way we manage people.
He built the strategy and the policy that made our selection process more effective for this century.
Throughout his career, Tom has taken time to give back to the University of Dayton and support UD's ROTC program.
If there's a chance to make a difference, especially at a place like Dayton, I'll jump on it because I believe in Dayton and I believe in the ROTC program there.
Last year, in 2021, the University of Dayton Army ROTC program was the #1 program in the Midwest. And our cadets stand on the shoulders of giants like Lieutenant General Siemens. For them to have another fighting flyer that walk these same halls that they can look up to makes them all incredibly proud and shows them what they can accomplish in our Army and drives them to excel.
Tom retired from the military in 2020. He is now a senior principal at McChrystal Group.
When Tom left the service, one of the reasons I wanted him so badly in McChrystal Group is one, he's a team builder. The young people follow him like the Pied Piper. But working with clients, such as with FEMA, what he does is he teaches them processes of developing future leaders. And it is an extraordinary ability to connect across a culture from military to other organizations that makes him particularly effective.
As I look back, there's certain decision points you make in your life, and selecting the University of Dayton as a place I would go get my college education was one that I had no idea the impact it would have on me throughout my life, the rest of my life. And I tried to benchmark what I saw at Dayton and use that throughout my career. When in doubt, I would ask myself, hey, what would happen at Dayton in this situation, how people would treat each other. And that gave me kind of a true north that I used over the years while in uniform. And I use it still today at McChrystal Group.
For his career accomplishments and lifelong example of learn, lead, and serve, the University of Dayton Alumni Association is proud to honor Lieutenant General Thomas Siemens with the 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award.
Wow. Congratulations to all of our recipients for their dedication to learning, leading, and serving. How about one big round of applause? I got a little teary. I don't know about everybody else, but whew. I get to moderate what I think is a pretty fun conversation with our honorees. We started this last year, and I think it's a nice way to get to know them, hear about them from their own words, and they don't have to think about, oh my gosh, I've got to write a speech and stand up and deliver it in front of all these people. They get to sit and enjoy, and I think everybody has water, and you can see all their lovely awards. So a word we use all the time at UD is community. It's how we describe UD. I'm going to ask each of you to describe UD without using community. And ideally, you use one word. We'll give you a few more, but the bottom line is you can't use community. Jim, you received the Special Service Award. What's your one word and why? You're on.
Family, neighborly. And as Dr. Spina will recognize, and I take no offense to anybody here, but I'm from Buffalo. And we have the Bills Mafia. Now, you can take that the wrong way, but if you want to dig into what's the significance of mafia, it's family. And I think this university has that family aspect, as the Western New York community has.
Tom, our Distinguished Alumni Award recipient, what's your word to describe UD and why?
I assume communities doesn't work.
Also correct, yes, yes. Cannot get out on a technicality, no.
I think the word I would use is touchstone. And if I could explain that for a second. I came to UD, and my experience here at UD was so foundational, formational for me for the rest of my life. I met my wife, third day of our freshman year, 31st of August, third floor, St. Joseph's Hall. My brother came here. He met his wife here. My cousin came here. Our youngest daughter came here. She just had our first grandson, and she's already planning on him coming here, I think the class of 2040. And so when our family gets together, it doesn't take too long for the University of Dayton to come up in a conversation. So touchstone being something that you reach back to center you, to ground you, a statement of excellence, something that everybody can recognize in a common purpose. I would also take it to the next professional step, in that over the years in combat and peacetime, I have met people who came from the University of Dayton all around the globe. And what I found is every time I met somebody who came from the University of Dayton, the conversation was very similar. It would start out with, you went to UD, where'd you live? And then smiles turned into laughs, and the laughs turned into an incredibly warm feeling that only come when you talk about a special place that we call the University of Dayton. And Dr. Spino, I'm happy to report to you, as Melissa and I were walking today, we shared the story at the table, but as we were walking today through the student housing area on Kefauver, going to where my daughter lived, two UD students walked by us, two young men, and as you would expect, they were walking a little faster than we were, because we were reading all the sheets that were up and looking at all the students. And they said, excuse me, and they got about 3 steps in front of us. And one of them turned around and said, did you go here? And we said, yes, very proudly. And they said, what year? And we said, 81. They go, wow. I think what they're really saying is, you're still alive? But very quickly, we started talking. One of them was from Kansas. We lived in Kansas. One was from the D.C. area. We started living. But where the true energy of the conversation happened is when we talked about Dayton. And their parents had met at Dayton just like we had. And as they talked about their parents' experience, our experience, and their experience, there was a huge energy. And to be honest, if I were a 19-year-old and stopped two people my age, it would have been about a 3-minute conversation. But the conversation went for like 30 minutes. And they just kept talking about how wonderful it is and their experience. And when I think of Touchstone, I would humbly submit that in 10 years, in 20 years, in 40 years, those two young men are going to be walking down Kefauver, and somebody's going to turn and look at them and say, did you go here? And there's going to be a 30-minute conversation just like we had today, and the Touchstone will continue over and over and over again because of the special place that we call University of Dayton.
Thank you. Good luck to the rest of you for your one word. Tracy, Christian Service Award winner, same question. What's your one word?
I think my word is ministry. And there's different parts of that. There's the obvious Marianist ministry that is so strong at UD that has really, I believe, brought all of us to where we are today. But then there's also the ministry of the community and what UD has taught all of us in the 4 years of coming together and being there for each other, whether it is at a basketball game and the spirit that we see there, or in all the volunteer activities that we were all given the opportunity to do when we joined UD. But it is such, the 4 years are they were the most important years of my life. I met my husband there, I have dear friends from there, and it brought my husband and I back to UD, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, our Joe Bell Memorial Young Alumni Award recipient, what's your word?
The UD that I know and love believes in the power of the divine individual. This idea that every human being is truly unique and has an ability to pursue truth and possibly achieve greatness. And I had my fair share of choices for engineering schools when I was looking as a senior in high school. But what really sold me on UD was I immediately sensed that I was seen truly as an individual with my unique gifts and flaws, and not just a number that's going to be crunched in an education factory. And so when I sensed that, I immediately knew I was going to go to UD. And I think that valuing of the individual and focusing on an individualized education is the way of the future.
Thank you. Lachey, our Special Achievement Award recipient, what is your word?
So I really struggled with this word because it wasn't one word, and I get hung up on following directions. So
I don't know that anyone else has tonight, so please,
so my word was training, preparation. Coming to UD was a strange experience for me. You all have heard I was not the normal student. So I didn't just get to come and be on campus. I was actually on campus. I'd leave class. I didn't get to go to class in PJs like most students. I had to dress in my business attire. I'd leave class and I'd go straight to work. So I was on campus. I was at the city. I'd come back. I'd go to class. And so I had this duality that not a lot of students had on campus. But it was a training ground here for me. And I learned a lot about leadership here. I learned how to make connections. I learned how to network. I learned how to speak up when I was the only one in the classroom that looked like me. I learned how to be my authentic self. I learned how to do that here. I learned how to make friends with people who didn't look like me and enjoy doing that. I think that being at the University of Dayton was the training ground to prepare me for learning how to partner and learning how to accept other ideas and thoughts and work with people from various backgrounds and perspectives. And I think being a part of this university campus made me a better employee at the city. And so I believe that this microcosm of a mini world here is what made me, more successful in my career, and vice versa. But I just believe that what we experienced here at the university is just that. It is the training. It is the preparation from what makes us also successful when we finally take 4, maybe 5 years for some folks to finish and get out there in the world. you've been well prepared here, not just in your studies, but in every possible way as a human being to interact with your local and global community. So that's my one, maybe 2 words.
I have so many new words for community that I'm going to use the next time I get asked this question. Tom, your unique track record, as we heard, in the Army allowed you to be known as a paratrooper and the HR guy. This relatability and experience led to your culminating position in uniform as the Army G1, responsible for human capital support to 1.3 million military and civilians. I think the number was $135 billion was your operating budget, which I have a $5 million budget, and that feels like nothing now when I hear things like that. And now at the McChrystal Group, you help organizations build high-capacity teams. In this audience, we have students, we have alums like myself, young, old. What advice or guidance would you give to them to help tap into their full potential?
Jen, thank you very much. I've got 5 things, and bear with me, I'll be very quick. The first one is passion. Find out what your passion is and execute it ruthlessly. For me, it was being in the Army, being a soldier, just like my dad. And I loved being a soldier, I loved serving with soldiers, people who felt very passionate about being part of something bigger than themselves. I would tell you, trust is so important. Trust is really the oxygen that we live in. And so creating a climate where you and your organization have trust is so very powerful. Every organization I took over in the Army, and when I sat down with my new team, I'd say, I have a request. I need you to loan me your trust until I have the opportunity to earn it. The third thing I would say is lead like a gardener. And that may sound kind of funny or abstract, but as a leader, if you plant your seeds, you nurture your seeds, you care for your seeds, they will grow into beautiful things. And so lead like a gardener when you're leading your team. The fourth thing I would offer is be courageous enough as a leader to have people around you who have the courage to tell you the truth, to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And what that will do is make your decisions most often right than wrong, because they'll come in and tell you when you're wrong and have an honest discussion with you about it. The last thing is speak less and listen more. I found over my life, when I was smart enough to adjust the velocity of my listening, I learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Tracy, author Toni Morrison said, "A sister can be seen as someone who is both ourselves and very much not ourselves, a special kind of double." It's clear that you and your sister Christy had a very special bond. How did you decide that expanding Secret Smiles to Dayton would be the best way to honor her? And 20 years later, what do you think she would think of you provide a safe place to sleep for thousands of children? We heard 10,000 children today in the Dayton area.
Yeah, we're approaching 10,000 quickly. Goodness. Secret Smiles was something that Christy and a good friend started. And when she told me about it, I remember being so incredibly proud that she was helping the New York community, get beds and other home items, for families in need. When we lost Christy, I'm the oldest of 5 girls. Christy was the second youngest. She followed me to UD 6 years after I had graduated. It was devastating, and my family was all in New York. I was in Dayton, and I was so fortunate to be surrounded with incredible friends that said, let's do some things for Secret Smiles in New York. And unbeknownst to us at the time, it grew into this incredible organization within Dayton. We have been so fortunate. We partner with Morris Home Furnishings, who provides us with beds and cribs at their cost, and then they deliver them for free. We have had numerous volunteers. I work with 5 incredible women. Everyone is 100% volunteer. There's no salaries, no office space. But with the teamwork of the community, the Dayton community, we have been able to take this tragedy and remember Christy in the most beautiful way by continuing her legacy. And here's the thing. The more you give, the more you get. And I can tell you that my board, my family, anyone who has volunteered for this organization has found that there is the most beautiful gift that by doing things, you see the smiles on these children's faces. You know that they are going, to be sleeping in a bed that night. Today we were at the University of Dayton doing what we call Hope for Dreams. And it's our 6th annual event that we do with Morris Furniture Company and the United Way. And 75 children received beds. Tonight, those 75 kids have a safe place to sleep. So we took Christy's dream, and with the help of this community, we took it farther. And that says so much about Dayton, but I also think so much of that comes from the university. I think the university touches people in this community. It's very far-reaching. It's not just the students. This community is a stronger community because of UD and because of the Marianist tradition of service. So, wow, what would Christy think now? I know she is smiling down on us. She was a beautiful girl, and we miss her. We miss her every day, but I can tell you, I see her face. Anytime I see a child's face, I see their smile, I see Christy's smile. So, yeah. Thank you, UD, for everything.
Thank you.
You taught us both a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. John, as a Catholic university, we are committed to the dignity of the human person. I could not say it better than what you did when we asked you what your definition of community is. We care about the human person as a creative and social being created in the image and likeness of God. As a comprehensive university, we are dedicated to excellence in creating new knowledge, integrating this knowledge across disciplinary boundaries, and applying it creatively to meet human needs. You created something that didn't exist. You have created a way for individuals, to eat with independence and dignity, and that is amazing and incredible and awe-inspiring. What's next for you as you continue to dream big and strive to make a difference?
Thank you for the question. It's something I think about all the time, at the top of my mind. I think myself and my entire team are very proud of the product we've created and that we've distributed it across the world and made independence accessible for almost anyone who needs that form of independence. But we're still, in many ways, at the very beginning. We have a lot of potential to fulfill globally with this product, and the need is there, the people are there that we can help, and so we're still very highly focused on fulfilling OB's potential. We're sort of, as a company, we're sort of at an inflection point between a startup and a real growth company, and so a lot of emphasis is on scale and really getting it out there. We've figured out how to manufacture it. We've figured out how to market it. We've figured out how to sell it and get it reimbursed and all the complexity associated with that. So that's a big project in and of itself. A lot of complexity there. But then my true passion is for creating truly meaningful products. I don't ever want to create something that's trivial or just done strictly for profit, that's very superficial. To me, I don't think I'd ever be proud of that. So we have a number of ideas on the table, but not really ready to talk about exactly what our next product might be.
That's fair. I understand.
A little premature.
I understand. We could maybe sign some NDAs if that would help. Kidding.
I don't even know if I've made up my mind. Yeah. We don't really know exactly what's next.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. Lachey, this past weekend, as in last weekend, US Open came to a conclusion, and as I think most people know, even if you don't watch or enjoy tennis, Serena Williams retired. And at the US Open's media day, 18-year-old Coco Gauff said, Growing up, I never thought that I was different because the number one player in the world was somebody who looked like me. We have spent a lot of time these last 24, 48 hours as an alumni board talking about why representation matters, and it's important. So as a Macintosh scholar that stayed in Dayton and has succeeded in Dayton, how does representation and leadership impact the professional success of future generations?
Wow, it's extremely important, and it does matter, and it makes a big difference. And I'll give you my 3 reasons why in a moment. But when I was at the University of Dayton in 1987, going to work every day, seeing African American women and men in positions of leadership was very compelling for me. Being on campus, I was an international studies major, and for the 4 years that I was here, I was the only African American in that major. So if you can imagine, I was the only one most times in my classes. But going to work every day, seeing African Americans in positions of leadership gave me some idea that, okay, there is opportunity beyond college for being a professional. And I got to see, at that time, the mayor, the assistant city manager, Charles Meadows, was my immediate boss. Department directors leading very large, multi-million-dollar departments, sitting in meetings, watching them, conduct the affairs of our city. The finance director at that time was also a woman, and lo and behold, 20 years later, I would be appointed as finance director. Just being able to watch and see African American men and women lead the government, and also in business. I mean, these are government officials also doing business with business people, right? And seeing them as well gave me the thought process that I can finish this, at the university, I can grow up, I can be like them one day. I don't think that I would have been able to finish the university and have the hope and dreams and thinking that I could also do this. Representation is absolutely critical. And here are the 3 reasons why. 1, it instills hope. If you don't believe and see yourself in something, where do you generate the hope that it can also be you, right? It gives you the I can too attitude. The second thing is it creates expectation. I believe that sometimes our young people don't have enough expectation in themselves. So they settle for certain types of things that they are supposed to do and not expect that they are supposed to do other things. There were expectations of me, and I believed in those expectations because there were others doing things greater than I saw myself doing. And those expectations were things I then instilled in my own daughter. She had representation. She didn't see anything else growing up, but her mother going to work every day and growing and being promoted and doing things above and beyond what I ever believed, I was doing. But that was all because I saw it done before. And then the last thing I say is that it creates vision. When you see someone else that looks like you doing great things, it gives you your own vision. It creates vision in you about, well, what is it that I'm going to do? And the Bible says without vision, people perish. And I do believe that. I think that one of the, and it's the opposite of hope, right? When you don't have vision, you can't have hope. When you don't have hope, you can't have a vision. And so I believe that having that representation, seeing people that look like you doing great things, creates vision, it creates expectation, it instills hope, and that's what causes folks to succeed. And I think that's the importance of that representation across all disciplines, across all careers, in all aspects.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you. And we know we have work to do, and we talk about it, and I hope that we walk that walk and talk that talk as we continue to make sure that representation is here at the University of Dayton. Thank you. All right, Jim, you have had a prolific and, similar to other recipients, a very successful career. While your success grew, so did your commitment to service and philanthropy. Your local Olean, did I say it right? Olean. Olean, not Olean, like I thought earlier today, Olean, community has benefited from your generosity, and so has the Flyer community. The STIT Scholars Program links innovation, collaboration, and community by providing students with hands-on learning in partnership with Dayton companies and entrepreneurs. When reflecting on your years of volunteering and philanthropic support, what do you hope will be the lasting impact of your gifts of time, financial resource, and expertise to your communities?
First, let me say I accept this award in the name of my partner, life partner, Carol, who community, when you say what was community, community is our passion and surviving in the community. Olean has 14,000 people. We're 70 miles from Buffalo. We're rural. We just lost our largest employer 2 months ago. Siemens bought Dresser-Rand, and 6 years later shut it down and consolidated it with other factories. 500 employees were laid off. We now are the largest employer in the community of 14,000. And we give a lot of thought to the fact of the responsibility we have to give back. And it starts with the company and my two boys, who are both now running the company. Reagan's father, who is here as our CEO. But in passing the business to your children, I know many have many problems in that. I had no problem because my most important item was, do the kids get the culture? And our culture is family and community, and we look at our 800 employees as family. There once was a time before I was 70, I knew everybody's name. Wow. I still know everybody's face. But it's that. And we get a lot of, you saw some of the things on the photo there, St. Bonaventure and what have you, that we do in the community, and we give a lot back. And we hear a lot that, I said, well, boy, what would we do without Cutco? And I said, well, I'm humbled by that. But let me say, what would happen if we didn't have St. Bonaventure? Well, they've been here for 155 years, so what? What would happen if we didn't have the Jamestown Community College? Well, they belong to the state. I said, that's worse. What if we didn't have a good community hospital? What if we didn't have the rehabilitation center that takes care of so many disabled? What if we didn't have corner drugstores? What if we didn't? If those things go away, folks, I don't know Cutco wants to be here. We want to be in a community. So we will take care of Cutco. Everybody else, I need to partner with me to take care of community. And actually, my title is executive chairman, but as my son and I laugh, my job is president of community development. And that's where I spend all my time. I am chairman of the Olean Business Development Corporation, to where we're trying to do startup businesses. We've created incubators. But it's creating this community. And so, one, I have that in Olean. Same feelings as what I have with what was in UD, and I give a lot of credit to some of the advancement people here. James Brothers is my good buddy for a long time here. But really keeps the connection to where you keep it here. I went to school here and I left. And when you look at family who I'm tied to, I've been at Cutco for 46 years. I have a 46-year-old group of family. Mm-hmm. I was here for 4 years. I've been there for 46. And our passion is that they stay employed. The community has us. We are not going anywhere. We will not sell, because most people who buy do not buy for the company, they buy for the parts. Yep. And they break it up. And I talked to and I was on the St. Bonaventure Board of Trustees for 9 years. I was on the Jamestown Community College Board for 9 years. And as I talk to Bonaventure students, I say, I don't think St. Francis would move the place because he could make a nickel more in another community. I don't think Father Chaminade would move it, because you could make some more money, or you could get a better stock price if you bought this company and consolidated it. And unfortunately, you're seeing a little bit more of it, but in the business community, it's not spoken a lot about social responsibility. It's about shareholder value, whether stakeholder value, and that is our mission in life, is how do we take care of the stakeholders? The stakeholders are customers, employees, community. So as we go through that, and Carol and I and lockstep, we don't do the things I've done here without having a partner that we agree and very passionate about what we do and where we give it and how we help. And so it's that. And so being on the Bonaventure board and being on the trustee of JCC, and I was on the advisory board of the engineering group here for about 6 years. And a lot of what I saw was there's a lot of silos in higher academics. It drives me friggin' crazy. And it probably maybe drives some of you in this room crazy. But so the SIT Scholars really was, and I give a lot of credit to Phil Depker here, as we're sitting on my back porch in Hilton Head during COVID trying to stay away from each other and brainstorm what might be. I said, how could we come up with a program that could take the engineering and the engineering innovation, business and the Entrepreneur Center, and then West Dayton Entrepreneur, put those together and say, how can we do good with that? And what came up with, well, let's create, I will say I'm embarrassed, I never knew the name was going to be STIT Scholars. I thought it was a placeholder, and then they start printing documents. I was too late to get out. So I'm embarrassed about that. I'm glad it's not Nolan. That would kill me, but at least here. But the fact is that this could be this way. And we get engineering students, we get business students, and then this year they've added some of the computer science students to learn to work together on a project versus silos. The engineering learn all about engineering, the business students learn about, and then you get a job, and the first day on the job you're stuck in a room with the accountants and the engineers, and you've never done this together before. Right. So how much we can be ahead is what we hope to come from this. And some of the letters we got from some of the students, that just how excited they were to be able to work together in a small group, that an engineer said, I got to work with an accountant, I learned a little bit what's going on, that part of it. And that's the most reward we could get, that the students would say, we really feel better about who we are and what we're doing and where we're going. And so we feel it's been a big success. Thank you, Phil.
Aw, Phil. Thank you all for sharing a little bit about yourselves and your stories and what's inspired you to do this. As I said at the beginning of the night, this is absolutely my favorite night of the year. I've choked up a few times trying to talk, because I just think it's incredible that the University of Dayton produces such amazing alumni. So please join me in one last round of applause.